Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Unger the Radar, where we talk all things film. And I have with me, as always, a wonderful panel of guest critics tonight. Mr. Rob Harris, welcome back, sir.
Good to have me, Randy. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, appreciate that. And Mr. Fars Bennett, it's been a few weeks. Good to see you again.
Randy, Rob, good to see both of you again.
Definitely. So guys, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. I just want to say off the top, since things are a little crazy in the world right now with the virus flaring up again, we need entertainment more than ever. And, I love talking about movies with you guys. And I hope those watching and listening to this also appreciate our efforts to bring entertainment to the forefront, not necessarily to distract us from what's going on, but just to ease our pain just a little bit. And just a really great activity with friends and family. You put on a great movie, you laugh, you cry, you're thrilled, and that's what cinema does. So I'm glad I can share that with you guys. Just wanted to say that off the top.
Appreciate that.
Definitely. All right, guys. So with things being so crazy, I just wanted to know, what are you guys watching right now? What are your pandemic picks this week? Mr. Bennett.
All right. So I've just been mostly just been watching a lot of Christmas favorites, as well as I did recently see Spider-Man No Way Home twice, but that'll be for another show. But yeah, Christmas favorite, mostly Christmas favorites, as well as some new ones. I saw 8-Bit Christmas with Neil Patrick Harris recently, and which I would probably say is the funniest Christmas movie I've seen in a while.
Wow.
And, and if you were Nintendo, and if you played Nintendo growing up, it'll definitely resonate with you. It's a movie that'll resonate with you.
Good to know.
I also tried showing my nephew some, because I was in California with my family. I tried showing my nephew some of my favorite Christmas movies, like Gremlins and Batman Returns. Gremlins, he kind of was and wasn't paying attention. Batman Returns, oh my god, boy, he thought it was too long and boring.
Boring.
I'm like, what? Okay, and just so you know, this kid has no problem sitting through Batman versus Superman or the Nolan movies.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
Batman Returns is like a cartoon, which is amazing, and it really flows great, and the action is just so much fun. I was obsessed with that as a kid. I wore out.
I know, same here. I know, but then again, I'm thinking maybe I have to put myself in his shoes. Like, he's a 9-year-old in an age where comic book movies are very common, whereas when Batman Returns came out, they were kind of far and few between.
Okay,
so like
that's true.
So like, even though comic book movies now are longer, even though Batman Returns was a relatively short movie, and comic book movies are longer, but they're bigger, louder, faster.
Oh man, and so I'm trying to think the period between Batman '89 and Batman Returns, there were some crazy movies though, some comic book and science fiction movies.
But I'm thinking more in terms of like the years between Batman Returns and like now with the MCU.
Oh yeah.
Like just thinking about how, if you look at how much Batman and superhero movies in general have evolved.
Yeah,
in the last 30 years.
It kind of takes the excitement away, since there's so much damn content, especially on Marvel's end. Like, we get something new like every 2 months, and it's insane. It really removes that aura, that fascination, that anticipation.
The novelty is a little worn. The novelty is not as worn off.
Right.
But while we're still on the subject of Marvel, I also did catch up on Hawkeye over the holiday.
Okay, save that, because we might be reviewing that next week. So
all right,
table that, sir. Table that. Rob, what have you been watching to maintain your sanity?
So I actually watched Back to the Future Part 3 with Jen and her brother for the first time. It was their first time seeing it.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was really nice to share that with them. And Sorry, remember what you're gonna say. I actually hopped on the Marvel train. I don't know if I told you guys,
Hmm.
but ever since I saw the second Venom movie and I saw that they were doing tie-ins, I was like, all right, I gotta check this out.
Yeah.
So I just finished let's see, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which was great. Both of them were great. And there was another one in sequential order that I just watched. I'll remember what it is, but yeah, enjoying it. It's fun. Oh yeah, Ant-Man. The first
Ooh.
one.
Mhm.
Really, really good. It reminded me of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yes.
You know, like really, really cool. I've been watching it with my grandfather, and he absolutely loved it. He's like, "Yeah, this is cool. It's based in science," you know. Like, so anyway, yeah.
What didn't you watch something with your grandfather for Thanksgiving? Like it was like
Honestly,
an awesome nostalgic movie that you
Yeah.
shared with him. It was like a really great like bonding experience.
we watched so many movies together. It's hard to remember what it was. I mean, like Cry Macho, you know, that we
Mhm.
watched for your show. We
Right.
both really enjoyed very much. You know, same thing with Jungle Cruise.
Nice.
I can't remember what it was on Thanksgiving that we watched.
I think something, or maybe before Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
I just want to back up a little bit. Yeah, we just had Christmas weekend. Did you guys have a good holiday? Tell me, Rob, how was your holiday weekend, sir?
Yeah, it was pretty good. You know, I saw my family and everything like that. And I saw Jen's family too.
Hmm.
And you know, even before that, like at work, you know, we had some nice celebrations together with my coworkers, and you know, we had fun with our kids that we work with. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just been nice to get some R&R and catch up with friends and family. So yeah,
Sweet.
how about you guys?
Mine was good. I hung out with my mom. We watched episodes of Survivor online,
Nice.
and it was really nice. Caught up on some Matrix stuff for this show,
Mhm.
and yeah, it was actually a really
Yeah.
nice, relaxing weekend.
Actually, I did. Actually, I should mention I did watch the first three Matrix movies
Hmm.
in preparation for. I did revisit the first three Matrix movies in preparation for tonight. So
And how was the rest of your holiday weekend, sir?
it was okay. I mean, I was in I was in California with family. Me, my parents, my sister and cousin and nephew. Um, my we just hung out, watched basketball and football. And also and my nephew, my nephew and we spoiled my nephew because my family doesn't like, among us adults, my family doesn't really exchange gifts. But so like my nephew, we spoiled him. I got him some, he's inherited my love of horror movies, so I got him some horror merch,
Nice.
including Friday the 13th and Ghostbusters t-shirts and a pair of Chucky socks.
That's great.
Although I did kind of, although I did spoil myself for Christmas though. I was at a comic book shop in Carlsbad, and I found a few of these
Yes.
Kenner
that's
alien
awesome.
figures mint in condition.
Oh my God. 1993, right? 94?
92, 93. So Apone, submarine that was not even in the movie, but
ATAC.
has
ATAC. ATAC.
yeah, and then also and then Bishop.
Who
Oh,
looks
and
nothing like Lance
look,
Henriksen, by the way.
and Apone looks nothing like Al Matthews.
He looks more like Alan Matthews than Lance Henriksen. But
And my it's like, yeah, don't tell my mom that I bought these, otherwise she gives me that whole "how old are you" speech.
wow, those are some good finds, sir.
Yeah.
For nearly 30-year-old action figures to be mint on card, like, and
Yeah.
they look pretty damn great. So treasure those. Cool. But yeah, it was a good weekend for me as well. Just hung out with my mom, and I love that lady. I'm not ashamed of it. She's great to me. She's always been there for me, nurturing, supportive, just loving, and just a really great soul.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
Also,
yeah.
Right to mention, I also spent a lot of time playing with my sister's dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, I love it. So we were very busy this past weekend. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was not a yeah, it was not I mean, despite COVID, Omicron kind of ravaging the world, it wasn't it was not an uneventful Christmas like last year.
Right. True. Or last Thanksgiving. That was
Yeah.
not a great time for most. So, but here we are, and the year is almost done, and I'm kind of blown away by the movies that were released this year. Some really great titles. Two of them we're going to talk about tonight. The first one being, of course, The Matrix Resurrections, and this is the well, technically, it's the fifth installment. It's the fourth in the franchise.
Are you counting Animatrix?
I am. Yeah. Is that not canon, or is that like?
I mean, it's canon, but I consider it more. They're more like it's more of like an anthology than a full on movie, than a full movie.
Sort of like a standalone, like a spin-off. So for purpose,
it's more supplemental. It's more of supplemental than
It's like an album, music inspired by The Matrix. So,
yeah, or kind of like when The Dark Knight came out, they released that anime Gotham Knights with Kevin Conroy. If you remember that,
I didn't see that one. No. Huh.
Like it was supposed to tie into, like, supposed to be set between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, but it wasn't like a full movie. It was more of like it was just an anthology of animated shorts.
Yeah, I thought
segueing between movies.
Very good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah. So
that's how I feel about the Animatrix.
Okay, we'll get into that in a moment. But first, The Matrix Resurrections. It's the first Matrix movie since 2003, where we had both sequels then. So starting off 1999, that's when it all started. That's when we got the first Matrix, revolutionary sci-fi action film starring Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Lawrence Fishburne, who basically are navigating the line between bleak reality, and this kind of dreamlike utopia where anything can happen. You can defy gravity, you can dodge bullets. And for 1999, this movie was revolutionary. Fantastic visual effects. It won a few Oscars, I believe, for one of which was very well deserved for the visual effects team.
Mm-hmm. And it pulled in so many elements, like comic book, like superheroes, anime, video games.
I think it was inspired by comic books, by I think Japanese.
Also, I know Ghost in the Shell is like a huge influence for the Matrix.
Okay.
Yes.
And
religion too. Religion and philosophy.
Yeah, that too.
It was very Dave. Yeah.
I love, Morpheus is very spiritual, very philosophical in the films. And, it's just a great commentary on what is real and, what we want out of life, what we want from our dreams, and how our dreams can impact reality, vice versa. That was 1999. 2003, they came out with two sequels, creating the trilogy. I think that same year was also the Animatrix. And
yes.
So basically, we hadn't had any new Matrix content for 18 years. Here we are with the Matrix Resurrections. Is it necessary? I don't think so, but it is a fun movie. It's got that signature Wachowski brothers. Actually, it's just Lana Wachowski now.
Yeah, just Lana's going at solo, and they're the Wachowski sisters.
Right. Thank you. They just like to be known as the Wachowskis.
Yes.
And this film, it continues the story of Neo, aka Thomas Anderson, and basically he's living in I'm not going to say if it's real or not. He lives in San Francisco, where he basically lives a mundane existence. But
now he's got a better job than he did in the first movie.
Right. I think it's the same company too, right? Or
no, because in the first one it was just a software company. This one he's working for a game developer.
Okay. So he's not very happy, and then he starts to encounter Trinity, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, and he also
He's
encountered
going by another name.
yeah, Tiffany.
Yes.
And also Morpheus shows up and basically gives him the option of the red and blue pill. So
Again.
you know, it's a decent movie. It like most action movies nowadays, it's very long. It's almost 2.5 hours. I'm not surprised by that. I also wasn't surprised that by pretty much anything in the movie. It's nice to look at. It's interesting, but it really kind of just follows the formula of the first movie.
To me, it feels very different.
You know,
I mean,
don't know.
first of all, more Lawrence Fishburne's no longer Morpheus,
Right.
and also like kind of moving like because the first three movies were all they were set in this fictionalized version of Chicago that was actually Sydney, Australia, whereas this one it's set in San Francisco. Whereas this one it's set in San Francisco, but it was shot, I think it was shot in Berlin.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really? Berlin?
Yeah.
Huh?
So that to me, that felt lent a different tone.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It felt a little more grounded in reality. Like,
Yeah.
something about it was just off. Like in terms of Matrix movies, it did not really feel like a real Matrix movie. Like 2 and 3 were very similar because they were shot back to back.
I think also it's just because of the time gap, because of technology and how to shoot action.
Yeah. I feel like they tried to reinvent the wheel here, and I honestly was not impressed really at all. I thought it was a fun movie. It was decent.
I'm still trying to process whether or not I mean, I didn't dislike it, but I'm not trying to process whether or not I liked it. To me, it's definitely kind of channels. I will first of all say, out of every sequel that's got resurrection in the title, this is the best one. Better than Alien Resurrection, better than Halloween Resurrection.
I was about to say, what about Independence Day? That was Resurgence.
Resurgence.
Any of those sequels.
Also, I noticed it to me feels more like it's kind of the like the Gremlins 2 or the Wes Craven's New Nightmare of Matrix movies. More of like an anti-sequel or a meta. It's like one part anti-sequel, one part meta sequel.
That's good.
As you see them poking fun at the various studio that produces these movies, Warner Brothers.
Right. Rob, what were your thoughts on the film, sir?
Unfortunately, as a huge fan of the first 3 Matrix movies and the Animatrix, I was severely disappointed. I just felt like, I was like an hour in and was like, oh, this is beyond redemption. I can't see it like getting better than this. Like it was a good action film, but like
I felt it was a little light on action compared to the first 3.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like for a film that's like, an action movie, like it was good, but it didn't do like the Matrix justice. Like I felt like it was almost like, too self-aware, like, oh yeah, like we're getting another sequel to your game, like, and like, all right, like we get it. Like, there were too many things like built into the movie that like, I don't know, like I felt maybe the people who made like were assuming that the audience like didn't know what was going on from the first 3 films. Like I noticed that they had a lot of clips from the original 3 movies.
Right.
Like maybe do it once or twice, but it was a little bit too much to as much as they did, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I just noticed the number of times they went and showed flashbacks from the first. They showed flashbacks from the first 3 movies. It's like you might as well go back and watch those movies.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like it was kind of unnecessary, and like I don't know, like there were some really interesting things that I did like about it, with just like the world that they created, but like I don't know, like it didn't have the same magic like as the first 3 films, and
it felt stale. We've seen this like a few times already, It's not cute anymore. It's not interesting. It's just there, you know.
It's
and-
not. It's not innovative.
right.
Yeah, no, I
Exactly.
feel like they just like played it way too safe, you know, when making this film. And I don't know, it came back to
I
bite
feel like, but I do feel like there is a self-awareness about how safe it is, because they do talk about in the movie, like, oh, we're only doing this because Warner Brothers wants us to do it.
I know, like it just
15
like
years later.
come on, please, like put a little bit of heart, you know.
Yeah. There was like no
you know?
effort. It was
I
kind
know.
of just lame.
You know, like
And-
even
yeah, sorry.
I mean, you know, I do get the feeling though that the Wachowskis really didn't want to do another movie, and there was really they're only doing it because Lana was only doing it because Warner Brothers is just trying to mine the nostalgia well.
Yeah, and they just they want a little more money because the first three made a ton of it. So, and you know what, for me personally,
doing it for the wrong reasons. Like it's such a good story, you know. Like anyway, what were you gonna say, Randy?
No. So like I saw it last night after having seen the trilogy and Animatrix and Bound, the first directorial effort by the Wachowskis in 1996, which is a really interesting movie, by the way, if you guys haven't seen it.
Oh, I've seen it, caught it a couple times.
Yep. Okay. So yeah, Bound is an erotic crime thriller starring Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon. Basically, Gina Gershon, she lives and works in an apartment building, and Jennifer Tilly moves into the apartment next door to hers with her mafia boyfriend, played by Joe Pantoliano. And basically, Jennifer Tilly's character wants to leave the relationship. She starts to have a lesbian affair with Gina Gershon. All the while, you've got Joe Pantoliano, very, paranoid, neurotic, and also Jennifer Tilly and Gina Gershon conspire to steal $2 million from Joe Pantoliano's character and his mafia buddies. And it's a very sexy thriller. The violence is good, and it's a really good first effort by the Wachowskis. So I highly recommend it.
Yes.
I saw it because I love Joe Pantoliano. Pantoliano, we know, was in the first Matrix.
Cypher.
Yeah, Cypher. He 22 years later, spoiler alert, he basically plays a villain he's a double agent who tries to go against Morpheus and Nebuchadnezzar, but he gets killed in his attempt to do that. But yeah, Bound from 1996, very, very good movie, Rob. I recommend that one.
Check it out. What do you think?
Yeah. So I saw those. It was a busy weekend. Aside from Survivor with my mom, it was a very Matrix Christmas for me.
Same.
Right. So it was good homework for Resurrections. And yeah, I was with you, Rob. I was let down by the newest installment.
I felt, and like also just from the previous, like, see that Neil Patrick Harris is in this movie.
Right.
That was, to me, right there was kind of a sign, like, what's the tone of this? Where is this movie going? Like, what is it supposed to be funny?
Yeah, I know.
That's true.
I do know that Neil Patrick Harris has done his share of serious roles, but I largely associate him with comedies.
Me too. And of course you just saw 8-Bit Christmas. So yeah. Interesting. It was, I'll be honest with you, my favorite aspect was the reintroduction the reunion rather of Neo and Trinity.
Yes.
They have some of the best chemistry in any science fiction film, I think. And I just wanted more of that. He doesn't age.
Carrie Ann Moss didn't age. Like she looks. So
good. She doesn't. Yeah.
I swear to God, they put both. I swear to God, both of them have been must have been in cryostasis between movies.
Right.
Well, I think if Keanu cut his hair and shaved, he would look exactly the way he did in 2003.
Right. Yeah.
And there were scenes where he had a shaved head.
Yeah.
The scenes where he's in the amniotic sac
Yeah,
The-
and when he's
Yeah.
in the ship
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So he looks yeah, they're like vampires, I think. They don't they look fantastic. They're beautiful people, and I really wanted more of that relationship. That chemistry is just, it's like
Yeah,
eternal.
I think they could have cut out a lot of filler and just focused on Neo and Trinity.
Right, like just make it like a romantic
Sci-fi
drama.
adventure.
I wouldn't even need, you wouldn't even need action really. Just have the two of them throughout the movie. Maybe some light action, maybe getting chased by agents or something, but I don't know. It was that
And speaking of agents, I feel like Hugo Weaving's absence was felt too.
yeah. Yeah.
He was such a great villain in the first three movies.
We needed him, and we needed Lawrence Fishburne back.
Yeah.
Severely missed. Yeah, that was a letdown for me. So yeah, it's hard. I mean, this is on my radar, but it's kind of like a head scratcher. Like, is this a good movie? Is it just fan service? Is it just Warner Brothers going by the numbers? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Is Lana Wachowski just giving everybody the finger?
Like Neo did in the first movie.
Exactly.
I could give you the finger and you give me my phone call. Okay. Have you guys checked out the Wachowski's other films?
I mean, I've seen bits and pieces. Okay, they didn't direct it, but they rewrote it, but it was like, I guess there was a lot of changes that they weren't happy with, but Assassins with Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas.
That's a really good movie. That's Richard Donner, right?
Yes, Richard Donner directed that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, it was Stallone, Banderas, and Julianne Moore.
That's a great, yeah, it's a fun one. 1995, if I'm not mistaken.
Right before Bound.
A long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
And
the
I-
Wachowskis were gonna, they wrote it, or they were gonna?
They wrote the script, but they changed. But apparently, there were a lot of changes made, which they weren't happy about. So when Bound was made, they wanted full control. That's when they wanted full control.
That would have been an amazing movie if they had control. Yes.
If they'd done a control of Assassins or
Assassins. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I would have
and
loved it.
yeah.
It was basically like, yeah, that movie I could have totally seen bullet time in.
and then I've only seen bits and pieces of Speed Racer. I've never watched the whole thing.
Yeah, same here. I've
they
never
did-
actually, no, I'd never seen Speed Racer. I've seen Cloud Atlas, unfortunately.
I have not seen that. Didn't they do Jupiter Ascending too?
Yeah, that one I missed too.
They did V for Vendetta.
Oh,
They
okay.
produced it. They produced V for Vendetta.
Oh,
Got
just,
you.
okay.
Which at the time I liked V for Vendetta when it came out, but then I read the comic book and I couldn't quite look at the movie the same way after I read it.
A lot of people have said that. Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, Cloud Atlas was a total letdown. It was a weird movie. It was like a science fiction action movie. Tom Hanks was in it, Halle Berry, and they had great chemistry too, but that was pretty much wasted from what I remember. Jupiter Ascending was kind of in the same vein, another sci-fi actioner.
Yeah, Channing Tatum as a dog person, right?
Yeah, I totally missed that one. I'm not a huge Tatum fan, but yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, Tatum, I don't like. I would say he's. I mean, I'm not a fan or a huge fan, but I would say he's a serviceable actor.
Yeah, he's fun. He's really funny. I love the 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, the
movie.
Jump Street movies, Hail Caesar.
Yep. Oh, that's a good one too. Coen Brothers.
Yep. And then Mila Kunis, you got Mila Kunis, who's always a pleasure to watch.
Of course, beautiful. All right. So Rob, would you recommend Matrix Resurrections?
I would say no.
Wow.
I'd say if you're a Matrix fan, do not get your hopes up. But it's entertaining, but I would not recommend it.
What
I
if
would only.
It honestly, it pains me to say that. Like,
I know, right?
I would say if you're either a Matrix or Wachowski or Keanu Reeves completist, see it.
yeah.
I think if they just named, if this wasn't a Matrix movie, it would have worked, because this could have been a pretty cool action movie. But the fact that it has the Matrix attached to it, there's just like this
Yeah.
high level of expectation.
Right.
Mhm.
that-
Trying to adhere to that formula, just kind of like shot themselves in the foot, I think.
yeah, it was just unnecessary. Like they should have just kept it as a standalone trilogy and just let it, live. Let it live there in 2003. Don't
Yeah.
kind of just drudge up old stuff. I thought it's pretty pointless. Also, having said that, I thought the visuals were really great, and I love seeing Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss
Mhm.
back on the screen. So for that reason alone, for just their chemistry, I say see it. Forrest,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Again, I'm gonna say right now, like definitely, I would say it's definitely more of a movie that I would recommend to hardcore fans.
Yeah.
To casual viewers, I don't know. I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah.
But like to Rob's point that they show like so many, because they show so many clips in the first three movies that it does seem pretty pointless to go to watch this movie.
Right.
Um,
It's unnecessary. It really is.
Yeah.
It's
especially
really,
especially when it's missing. I mean, even though you've got Keanu Reeves and Carrie Ann Moss back,
right.
but a lot of the key supporting players again, like Lawrence Fishburne and Hugo Weaving aren't back,
I know.
and their presence is very, and the loss of their presence is felt.
I would have loved to. Yeah, I haven't really seen Weaving in anything notable since. I mean, I know he's done.
He was Red Skull. He was
That's
Red
right.
Skull he's Red Skull in the MCU.
But he's got that heavy red makeup. It's hard to. He's got a very expressive face. It's kind of like what they did with Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man. But that was just
Yeah.
like that was a helmet. That was a mask. This was heavy makeup. I loved. Like I rewatched the trilogy. Like I just said. Weaving is fantastic. He's a great villain. He's like he's like a born villain. This actor.
What you said about like his facial expressions, Randy, like I started watching the second film today. Like, I didn't have time to finish it in time for the show, but he has the glasses on, but you can still see like his expressions coming through so
Yeah.
well. His vocal quality is so commanding.
Yeah.
So like he's like an integral part of the trilogy for sure.
Definitely. Now let me see real quick. Hugo.
Oh yeah, I would say maybe I would say, I'll put it this way. See it in theaters if you're a Matrix diehard. See it on HBO Max if you're just a casual viewer.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Hugo Weaving. I just looked it up. The Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yes.
I've seen part of this movie. It's a shame I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but yeah, Hugo Weaving. I think he plays a drag queen in it.
Yeah. Him. Terrence Stamp. I'm trying to remember who else was in it.
Was it Guy Pearce?
Guy Pearce. Yes.
Guy Pearce, another great Australian actor, by the way. So yeah, that's another movie.
And then also his niece Samara Weaving. She was in Bill and Ted Face the Music with Keanu Reeves.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, I say see it. If you're curious, I'm with Forrest on that one. If you're a Matrix completist, definitely check it out. If you don't really like the Matrix, you can totally skip it. That's fine.
Or if you're just a casual, more if you consider yourself just like a casual movie goer or casual Matrix fan, you can see it on HBO Max.
Definitely. Cool. All right, guys. So the Matrix Resurrections is now playing in theaters and is also currently streaming on HBO Max. So check that out if you want. You could take the red pill or the blue pill.
Nice.
So guys, we're just gonna take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more movie reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Young, you're under the radar. And we got through that, guys. The Matrix Resurrections, quality film, but not great. Next up, we've got another action film, action thriller, I guess you'd call it. It's called Zeros and Ones, and this is a very interesting situation. So we've got Abel Ferrara, who shot this film in the height of the pandemic. So basically, that element is brought into the story. You know, the characters have masks. There's, you know, some social distancing, and you can feel the tension in the air during the production. Ethan Hawke plays a soldier who has a twin brother who is in some trouble. There's basically this terrorist plot in Rome, and Ethan Hawke's character is basically trying to stop it and find his brother. It's a weird film. It's dark. It's gritty. It's shot in kind of a documentary style, and I respect the choices that Abel Ferrara made here. I really respect the fact that he, you know, filmed this at the height of the pandemic, I believe. So for that, it is a quality film. Having said that, though, the story is a bit by the numbers. It doesn't really go anywhere, or you're not very interested in it. And yeah, Rob, I know it's fresh in your mind. What did you think of the film?
Yeah, I just watched it this afternoon. So yes, as you said, the story was very cryptic. You know, like it was kind of hard to understand. You know, like a lot of the plot lines.
Right.
I will say though that some of the imagery that was shown throughout the film was interesting and thought-provoking and very different. You know, which I did appreciate. But as you said, you felt like it was shot documentary style. You could see that it looks like it's a digital camera that was used, which did give it like a nice gritty quality. But just personally, one thing that did bother me, you know, was there were some scenes when, you know, the editor or director chose to extend what was being shown a little bit more, and they slowed down the clip that they got, and it on, you know, digital film, like it was just a little bit too choppy for me, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
But the monologue at the end by Ethan Hawke, you know, was like saving grace for the film. I felt, you know, it kind of like made me see it in a different light. You know, and it was nice to see Ethan Hawke's reflection, like before and after the film. Like, you know, he talks a little bit about it and what he felt, you know, it meant to him and everything like that. And I did like that very much, and it enriched it for me.
You never see that. You never see the lead actor or anybody from the production introduce the movie and conclude the movie, kind of like bookends, like the before and after, before they've shot it and after the film wrapped. You never see that. That was a pretty cool element, something you never see.
Yeah, no, I did like that too, very much.
It's good. That's good. Forrest, I know you saw this a while back.
Yeah. Before we had that little embargo, before the studio put a little embargo on the reviews.
Yes. So it's been fermenting in your mind, right?
Yeah. For me, okay. So I mean, I consider myself an Abel Ferrara fan. I think he's one of the quintessential New York filmmakers. Like I think like he doesn't like you rarely ever hear his name mentioned in the same breath as, you know, Spike Lee and Martin Scorsese or Darren Aronofsky or Woody Allen, but I think he's definitely like when you think of like when you watch like where it's like he's one of those filmmakers who, you know, I know he lives in Italy now, but back in the 80s and 90s, all of his, you know, he was a filmmaker who was based in New York City, shot most of his movies in New York City. New York City was basically a character in his own movies, much like those other directors. And so, but you know, but a lot of those movies, you know, those were like are like were like 30, 20, 30 years ago,
Yeah.
40 years ago.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just felt like, yeah, I just really felt like this one. I mean, I do applaud the effort to try to do that he did what he could with given the restrictions with COVID.
Yeah.
Especially in Italy, especially over in Europe where they have a lot tighter restrictions than America on but it just felt, but to me the movie I just felt like, and also Ethan Hawke, excellent actor by the too, but this one just meandered for just kind of, I felt like it meandered a lot and didn't really go anywhere. It was really hard to sit through, really hard to it was really hard to get it didn't really gauge my interest. It was hard to hold my interest.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, Forrest. And you've got two really big names here. You've got Abel Ferrara and Ethan Hawke collaborating, two just great creative minds. And this is, I mean, I get it. I'm going to give them a pass because of the pandemic. But if this was not during the pandemic, then this movie would be a bomb.
Yes.
And critically anyway. But yeah, I was let down. But again, I respect Ferrara's decisions here. And I've been following Ethan Hawke for a while now, and he's done some great work over the past couple of years, especially. What was it called? First Reformed, I think it was called, where he plays a priest. Anyway, fantastic actor, Oscar-nominated actor. Actually, I think the first thing he was in was Explorers in 1985.
Yes, River Phoenix.
Yeah, directed by Joe Dante. Rob, if you haven't seen it.
I did not see, I didn't see that movie until just a few years ago, and I was like, wow. I mean, I don't think I mean, for me, it's one of Joe Dante's weaker movies, just because of the ending. But still, like the fact that this was a film debut for both him and River Phoenix.
Yeah,
that's like
true. And much can be said about Zeros and Ones. The ending is a letdown too. So, I mean, this is a tough one. If you're not into Ethan Hawke's filmography, if you're not into Abel Ferrara, then I would say skip this one. But for me,
like, honestly, I would say, I would not have known this was an Abel Ferrara movie unless you told me it was. It just doesn't feel like him.
I know.
But then again, I'm used to seeing him. But then again, I'm used to seeing Abel. I mean, with the exception of his Body Snatchers remake, I'm used to seeing Abel Ferrara capturing, like, life on the mean, dirty streets of New York.
Yeah.
And
this movie makes me want to rewatch those for sure.
Yeah.
So,
New York again.
Yeah. I say, if you're curious about a movie made during the pandemic, check it out. Otherwise, I would say skip it.
I would say for anybody who's trying to figure out how to make a movie during a pandemic, watch it.
Yeah.
Figure out how to make a movie with COVID restrictions.
Yeah, or on a budget, because this movie does not look expensive at all.
But other than that, I would say I would say anybody else should just pass on it.
Rob, see it or skip it?
I'd say skip it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, then it's unanimous. Skip it. But I say see it if you're curious. That's it. All right.
Or a fan of Ferrara or Hawke.
Yes. All right, guys. So we are down to our last review of the evening. And Rob, unfortunately, you did not get to see this one. I hope you get to see it in the near future because it really is special.
Yes.
It's the newest Paul Thomas Anderson romantic dramedy rather. It's called Licorice Pizza. And it's an interesting title, obviously.
Name of a record store chain in LA.
Yeah. Nice. It's also a very well-made film. It's well acted. And this might be one of my favorites of the year, or at least an honorable mention. Basically, it's a simple story. It takes place in California in the 1970s, focuses on a young man, a 15-year-old actor, played by, what is his name? Cooper Hoffman, who basically meets and falls in love with a fellow young person. She's a little bit older than him. He's 15, she's 25, and she is played by Alana Haim.
Haim.
Excuse me. And
In her acting debut.
yeah, any relation to Corey Forrest?
No, but she and her sisters are in a band. She and her sisters are in a band.
Oh, cool. And they're all in the movie too, actually, and her parents.
Yes, they are, along with their dad.
Yeah. So basically, it's about these two young people and the obstacles that are coming their way. We have the okay. Gary Valentine is the young actor who's basically up and coming. He's a businessman. He's a bit of a hustler. He's got some.
I'm sorry. I recall he was an established child actor at the start of the movie.
Right. He's 15 and he's already been in a lot of things, a lot of productions. And he meets Alana Kane. And basically it's love at first sight on his end. She's a little hesitant, but
given the age gap.
Yeah, no spoilers or anything, but it's a very interesting love story. We've also got a very, very good supporting cast led by Sean Penn, Tom Waits, Bradley Cooper, and also Benny Safdie. Sean Penn plays this veteran actor who basically courts the lead actress Alana Haim. Excuse me. Bradley Cooper plays John Peters, producer during the 70s, and after that, who's basically psychotic in this movie. It's hilarious. He steals the show.
I would say, based on what Kevin Smith has said about him, this seems it seems like a pretty accurate portrayal.
Nice. So it's a fun movie. It's quirky. I love quirky, and it's a great. It's a romantic dramedy in every sense of the word, and it is licorice pizza. It's really great. Forrest, what were your thoughts on the film?
Let's see. Well, Paul Thomas Anderson, I've only seen a couple of his movies. I've seen Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
I've seen Punch Drunk Love. I think he directed Punch Drunk Love. That was yes. Both excellent movies. This was also really good. I found, I think this was, a lot of people are making it. I was seeing on Twitter, like there was a big stink about its portrayal of the relationship between Cooper and Haim. But I feel like it's a very new, I don't think it at all endorses,
statutory.
Yeah, exactly. It's very new. It's very nuanced. It's a very nuanced. It is very nuanced. The relationship is it's approached with a lot of nuance.
Right.
And I definitely get that feeling. It's very like, because Paul Thomas, the 70s seems to be because I'm guessing that's around the time he grew up. And the 70s is very much it's kind of Paul Thomas Anderson's one of his special interests, or an era that comes up a lot in his movies.
Right. And you would think that he has experience, like he was born. He was born in 1970, so he probably only remembers the later half of the 70s.
Yeah.
So, but he definitely has a fascination with the era. So
yeah,
especially with Boogie Nights, is classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely like a great. Between this movie and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's that, I guess this whole, like, it's basically like a love letter to LA in that time period. They're love letters to that time, to a time period, or to a bygone era of the 60s and the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah. Would have been a great time to grow up in, I'm sure. Like an interesting time.
Interesting. I would say it was but definitely an interesting one.
For me, I think I'd want to grow up in the 80s, like as a teenager in the 80s, like Marty McFly. But that's a personal choice. If I had the option of time travel. But
for me, I'd want to go back. I'd like to just go back to the 90s so I could go to Woodstock 94.
I remember hearing about that there. Yeah, I was like 9 years old, And
I was sick. I was 6.
nice. So Rob, I know you haven't seen the film, but from what we've just explained, would you want to see this film?
Oh, very much. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really excited about it. I'm disappointed that I couldn't see it actually. I was really looking forward to it. But I do like Paul Thomas Anderson. You know, I saw The Master way back when.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe
yeah.
he was
Oh
a dad.
man, yes.
Amazing cast.
Yeah.
You know, really interesting story also.
Hmm.
Let's see. Magnolia, I also really like. I was actually just thinking about that movie the other day and just how like interesting it is and different and just how like it just kind of like hits you like in an emotional way like not many things can. And even the cast in there is tremendous as well. And
His
yeah, movie
movies are
night is classic.
his movies are so diverse, and the stories are so different from one another.
Yes.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
and
And
of
they're
course, yes, Rob, the cast he definitely utilizes his actors in the best way.
Yes. It doesn't matter how big or small the role is. Like he gets the bet. He gets a lot. He brings out a lot of great talent. And also, I just want to also point out that because this was also again, this was Alana Haim's first movie, and she was
Cooper Hoffman.
excellent.
Yeah, they were both great.
Yeah, and it's because I think she definitely makes that list of talented singers that turn of because there's a lot of singers who become actors but they don't pan out. Like Madonna, but
Right.
but
Right.
I think Haim's on that list of actors that singers turned actors who actually work.
Yeah, definitely. So he's got the newcomers mixed in with the veterans, and it's wonderful. I think if Philip Seymour Hoffman were alive today, he would have totally been in this movie in some capacity, and would have been amazing too.
Yeah, I really miss him.
Yeah.
You know, he was one of my favorites, of our era. Really huge loss for us, I think.
He was a legend, gone
Yep.
way too soon.
Yep.
So yeah, this film, I mean, I've seen it twice already, and I think it gets better with every viewing.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna
Excellent
do
music. Also,
yeah.
even technically, I think music editing,
Yeah.
cinematography, fantastic.
Mhm. And I remember getting excited for it because it had a great trailer before the release. Was that a David Bowie song, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Forget the name of it, but it's just a really good tune. So yeah, I say see it. It's a great date night movie. Check that out. And yeah, that is Licorice Pizza, a title you will not forget. It is now playing in theaters. So yeah, go check that one out, guys. All right, so I just want to go through some coming attractions for this week. We've got an action thriller called The 355. It's got Jessica Chastain,
Lupita
Nyong'o,
Diane Kruger, Penelope Cruz,
and Fan Bingbing.
Yes,
I'm assuming she's popular overseas.
I mean, she's a big name in China.
Okay. So that's sort of like an action thriller with a female-led team. So that's promising. Actually, it's a slow week. We got that and just 2 more. We've got a Persian film called A Hero, and it's a drama thriller. We also have a Bruce Willis action thriller called American Siege. And basically, you put Bruce Willis's name on any movie.
And Die Hard, he's gonna phone it in.
Yeah, he's gonna exactly. People are gonna go see it, even though he's like, I'm not saying he's over the hill. It's just it's enough already.
No, you can tell he doesn't care. You can't tell he's half-assing it at this point.
Yeah, no, he's good. The last decent action movie he did, I think, was Armageddon, in my opinion.
I'd say I'd go a little further, a little
Yeah.
further. I'd say Sin City.
Well, there was
Oh,
Red,
Sin City.
Red 2.
Okay, Red Two. Well, all I'd
Okay,
say,
you're
all I'd
right.
say, all for me, the Red movie. For me, it was Helen Mirren and John Malkovich made the Red. Helen Mirren, John Malkovich, and Mary Louise Parker made the Red movies.
Right, right. He also did a movie in, I think it was 2005 or six, called 16 Blocks, where
Richard Donner's last film.
yeah, yeah. And I was so excited for that because they shot it, or it was supposed to take place in New York City. And I was like, this is gonna be like Die Hard with a Vengeance. This is gonna be amazing.
No,
It was not. So I was totally let down by that. But you know, I like Bruce Willis as much as the next guy. But you know,
Just actually finished Bonfire of Vanities tonight. I had never seen it before. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I've seen
No.
part of it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just
Odd.
Bruce Willis is in it and everything like that, and
Tom Hanks, yeah.
and Aykroyd.
yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to look at. I like watching movies like from the 90s and like 80s that I've never seen before, and that was one of those that was a treat just to watch.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and that so it's Tom Hanks, Bruce Willis, and also Melanie Griffith.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. What was I thinking of that had Dan Aykroyd as an old as a crusty old man?
Oh, Nothing But Trouble.
Nothing but trouble. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I get those two mixed up.
Rob, if you haven't seen Nothing But Trouble, that
I've
movie.
seen it many times.
You have? Okay,
I love
good.
that movie.
Oh
Yep.
my God.
Digital Underground performs in that movie, Randy.
And Tupac Shakur.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
Such a weird freaking movie.
so good.
Yeah.
It's such a gem. Like it's so weird.
I remember seeing that as a kid. It was on, I think, Channel 11 during the afternoon. And whenever the rappers and the musicians were thrown into that machine that chomps them, and then you see the bones, that always freaked me out as a kid.
I know. There's so many things in that movie that are just unforgettable. Like I caught it on TV too when I was a kid, and I think I asked my dad about it. I was like, Dad, what was that movie? Like, so anyway.
It was an odd one. Yeah. 1991 was a good year. Good year for movies. Okay. So yeah. So we just have those three films coming out this week. So if you're curious about any of those, check it out. Forrest, any of those pique your interest?
Maybe the three. I don't know. They to me they all scream dump month.
Dump month.
Yeah, because January is traditionally dump month for Hollywood's dump month. Like, they put the movies they know are terrible in the dead of winter where nobody will watch them.
Right.
But I don't know. I have although maybe the 355, but only because of the cast.
Right. Gotcha. How about you, Robert? Anything interest you?
Yeah, I'd go see the Siege movie with Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Why not?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll probably check out the 355 down the road. It's a good cable movie. So
yeah, that's like something you'd probably catch on Stars on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
We'll see. We will see. All right, guys. So we've reached the time of the evening for plugs. Anything going on, Mr. Bennett?
Well, I recently played. This was a big deal. This was a huge deal for me. Earlier this month, I was not expecting to do it at all. Earlier this month, I played the Toxic Avenger for Troma. I was cast in a promo that they were filming for their streaming app Troma Now. And as soon as I messaged the director Rocco Zevenbergen, I let him know that, hey, I'm interested in participating in it, because he was like, hey, who wants to be in a shoot for Troma? I said, yeah, I'm interested. And he's like, okay. He's like, okay, you're playing the Toxic Avenger.
Wow.
So that was really exciting. Never would have expected to do that ever. But
great. That's a bucket list item.
I know. It's like, and although it was a fun shoot to work on. But I will say, wearing the Toxic Avenger mask I can kind of I now understand. It's like I now have an understanding of where every Batman and Power Rangers actors come from when they talk about their least favorite part of playing a superhero. I
Could
mean,
you-
again, it was a fun shoot. It was a fun shoot. So I don't want to disrespect Troma or anybody like that, especially not as a Troma fan, but I will admit it was a little claustrophobic in that mask.
Could you see out of it? Because there's like one
I
eye,
could
right?
not see, hear, or breathe, or I could barely even speak in that mask.
Oh my gosh. How long was the shoot? How long did you have to wear that?
Only a couple of hours.
Wow. What a trooper. Trauma trooper.
It's so cool.
That
It's
is
so
cool.
Forrest. Yeah. Wow.
I love it. I love it. Rob, how about you? Any plugs this week?
Um, just some interesting news to share. Jen actually bought me a Terminator 2 like official script. So I'm going to be making my way through that. And I was telling her, like this past year, like I really want to get my hands on a script of a movie that I know and love very well, and Terminator 2 is obviously one of them. Just to kind of like compare, like, the memory of the film in my mind's eye and just kind of see how it would be written on paper, because I do have a lot of ideas for stories that I want to write down. So
Right.
so this is like a little bit of a stepping stone for me. So very excited about it.
You better so okay, so it's Terminator 2, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that would be a perfect, like if you ever got to meet Arnold or Linda Hamilton or
Ron Patrick.
or even Edward Furlong. I actually interviewed him a couple years ago.
That's so cool.
Get that autograph. That would be a priceless. That's a holy grail item, sir.
Yep.
That's a cool gift.
Or James Cameron, or if you met James Cameron.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, I know.
Imagine.
Like it.
I love that.
Oh, one of my favorite directors ever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I love
I mean, he
it.
directed my favorite movie of all time, Aliens. So
So good.
Yes.
It's so good.
Every movie, pretty much, even The Abyss are great.
Yeah.
I would love to. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I know they want to do it, but a sequel to True Lies, it would be.
Oh man. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. Yeah.
They were going to do it. I think in 2000, 2001, but then sadly 9/11 happened, and they were like, you know what, a movie about terrorism, not so funny.
Islamic terrorists. So.
Yeah. But yeah, I love pretty much all his movies. I can't, even Titanic is a really, really well-made movie.
Yep.
And it's just it's quality director right there.
I would say if you can get a chance to read his script for Rambo First Blood Part 2, because it's very different. It's still very much an action movie, but it's very different from what made it onto film.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Forrest.
Cool. All right, guys. So sadly, we are out of time, but I just want to give a plug for Under the Radar. You could check out new episodes of the show every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. You could also watch the show on the Lifetime channel. That's channel 2, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. Also, cable channels FiOS 34, RCN 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996. So guys, Rob, Forrest, thank you so much. This was great as always. Always a lot of fun talking with you fine gentlemen. And yeah, see you guys again real soon. Forrest, I think I might see you next week. And yeah, everyone watching at home and on your devices, I'm Randy Unger. This has been Under the Radar. We'll see you next time. Take care.